Hi everybody. Okay, if you read these directions, hopefully you did very carefully, you'll see that the very first thing you should definitely do is cross out any prepositional phrases if there are any. So if you take a look at number 1, we do have a prepositional phrase. It is during the battle, so we'll cross that out. We know that the subject and the verb cannot be in that prepositional phrase. Well, guess what? Neither can the direct or the indirect object. So we're going to continue to just keep on crossing it out. And then the next thing I told you guys to do is to find the verbs and the subjects. So the knight showed the king his bravery. There's either going to be an action verb or a linking verb. Here I know there is an action verb. So in my diagram, the verbs always went just to the right of the subject. Now we're going to ask, do I have a helping verb with that action verb? Nope, I don't. So finally, or almost finally, sorry, then I would say, okay, who showed? The knight showed. There's my subject. Okay. That's what the diagram used to look like. We used to stop right there, but now you see this extra spot. That's where we put any direct or indirect objects if we have them, and make sure that you label them so I know that you know the difference between them. So here's the deal. Showed is an action verb. After action verbs, sometimes we have direct objects. Direct objects receive the action. So subjects do the action, the knight did the showing, but direct objects receive the action. They're what was shown, okay? So the knight did the showing, but you have to ask yourself, what did the knight show? What got showed? Oh, the knight showed bravery. Bravery is our direct object. It's what got shown. And let's make sure we label it. So the knight did the showing. Knight is the subject. The bravery is what got shown. That's the direct object. We have one more thing we have to check. We have to say, to whom or for whom or to what or for what did that knight show bravery? Oh, he showed the bravery to the king. The king is the indirect object. And let me give you a little hint. Whoops, I'm a ding-dong. Hold on. I wrote indirect object here. What I meant to write was king. The indirect object. Here's the trick that I wanted to say to you, is that the indirect object, if there is one, it is always going to come right before the direct object. It won't come after the direct object. Also, you don't really have to have an indirect object. You could just not have an indirect object and have a direct object, okay? You can't have the flip, though. You can't have an indirect object without a direct object. So this might seem a little confusing, so let's go do another one. Okay, for the next one, the serf moved his wagon and horses for the Lord. I told you the first thing that you should do is cross out any prepositional phrases. And that's because, again, you're never going to find the subject in there. You're never going to find the verb in there. You're never going to find the direct or the indirect object in there. Okay, do we have an action verb? We do. The action verb is moved. Who or what moved? The serf moved. Serf is the subject. So the serf did the moving, but the question now is for the direct object, if there is one, what did the serf move? What got moved? Oh, he moved his wagon and he moved his horses. Two things he moved, so both of them are direct objects. They received the action, they got moved. Is there an indirect object? No. It would be right about here if there was one, and there isn't a noun there at all. His is not a noun. Besides, he moved the wagon to who or for who, to what or for what, there isn't any answer to that. So there just is no indirect object. In the next one, the apprentice made his master a beautiful gold cup. We're going to cross out any prepositional phrases first. And, oh, we don't have any. Okay, let's move on and see if we have a verb. We do. Made is a verb. It's an action verb. Let's find the subject. Who made? The apprentice made. He or she is the subject. Okay, let's see if you have a direct object. After action verbs, you can have direct objects. Never after linking verbs. Only after action verbs. Let's see. What was made? What did the apprentice make? He didn't make his master. He made a cup. That's your direct object. Okay? But let's see if you have an indirect object somewhere over here before the direct object. To whom or for whom did he make that cup? He made the cup for his master. So master is the indirect object. Okay, we're getting close. A couple more. The peasants have been working the land for many days. Prepositional phrase. Okay, is there an action verb? There sure is. The action verb is working. Remember, with action verbs, sometimes we have helping verbs, and here we do have two. Have and been. So helping verb, action verb. Who have been working? The peasants. That's our subject. Okay, after an action verb like working, sometimes you have a direct object. Let's see if we do. The peasants have been working what? What has been worked? The land. That is our direct object. Is there an indirect object? No, because it would have to be in between the verb and the direct object, and the only word there is the. So there is no direct object or indirect object. Remember, direct objects and indirect objects are always going to be nouns or pronouns, just like subjects are. Okay, in the hierarchy, prepositional phrase, the lords enjoyed the most power. My verb, yep, you're right, enjoyed. It's an action verb. Why do you think I keep having so many action verbs in these sentences? Because I'm trying to get you to identify direct objects, and direct objects come after action verbs. Okay. Who enjoyed? The lords. They are your subject. Okay. What got enjoyed? What was enjoyed? The lords enjoyed what? Power. There is my direct object. Is there an indirect object too? Well, it would be somewhere in here in between the action verb and the direct object. Neither of those are nouns. Nope, no indirect object here. And then, of course, I'm sure all of you are brilliant enough that you made up a wonderful sentence of your own with a direct and indirect object in it.